It's 60 days until our flight to Taiwan. And I'm so stressed out, I've taken to drinking. And that's just Dr. Pepper. All right. Well, I had a scripted video for you about packing, and that's still coming. It's mostly shot, but I got to edit together. But this week has been nightmare week. So let me just say that I 100% unequivocally stand with Taiwan. They are a country. They are the Taiwanese. And despite the fact that their name officially is the Republic of China, they are Taiwanese. They are Taiwan. They are not China. But they no doubt have an immigration policy or an immigration pattern that has happened over the years that means that they are ethnically Chinese, and they have immigration policies that keep them largely ethnically Chinese. So apart from the indigenous people, who are a small percentage of the total population, the vast majority of people who live in Taiwan either came from China or are descendants of people who came from China. And the Chinese invented bureaucracy. And it shows. So, my stressful week. The school is taking care of my wife's visa paperwork. And yes, she has to do things like get an FBI background check and get her teaching certificates and things like that all sent over and authenticated and sent back and whatnot, and then send those to the school, and the school uses those, get the work permit, right? But the school is handling that because the school is taking care of her, because they are not taking care of me. I have to do that. And this is where the problems are coming in. So this week, I have to get all my stuff together. Some of it's easy, passport photos. I had to do an FBI background check. And if you've never done an FBI background check to get your rap sheet, or to see if you have no rap sheet, basically you log into the FBI website. You are then suitably terrified by Kash Patel's mug that's on the front page. But you quickly get past that, and there's a section where you can request your rap sheet. You pay for it. It's only $18. And then you have to go to a designated location to have your fingerprints electronically scanned, which you can do at the United States Postal Service at select locations. So I did that, and they scanned my fingerprints. The fingerprints are sent electronically to the FBI, and the FBI runs the background check. Now, I have global entry for my TSA clearance and whatnot, which means I already went through a background check less than a year ago, an FBI background check. And I've been through FBI background checks before because I've worked with law enforcement agencies, and for me to have access to work on their criminal justice computers, I had to be cleared. So not too concerned about it. And when I got my global entry, it took like 15 minutes to get the clearance. It took 3 hours this time. So I'm cleared by the FBI. But the other one is the medical exam. Now, let me explain a couple things about that bureaucracy. They may be the oldest bureaucracy, but they don't do it very well. So, for example, as a resident of Arizona, I must deal with TECO. That's the Taiwan Economic Cultural Office. Sometimes Taiwan Economic Cultural Relations Office, TECO, but I think they're currently going by TECO. I have to go through the one in Los Angeles. There's several in the country. That's the closest to me. I'm not objecting to that. Each one has their own website, and each one does kind of have different requirements, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But anyway, you can't call them. I mean, they have a phone number, but they never, ever, 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 ever answer it. And you can send them an email, and you might get a response to it. If you go to their site, of course, even though it is the office for people in California, Arizona, New Mexico, I forget which states, doesn't really matter. Arizona is the important one. It's not necessarily in English. They have an English page. It has different content than the Chinese pages. And the Chinese pages are the pages that have the information that you need on them. And it can be contradictory. I emailed them because I have to have a medical examination of a sort before I can have a resident visa. My wife will have to have one too, but she can have hers in Taiwan. I cannot, or I can, but it is impractical to do so. I could go to Taiwan right now. I could hop on a plane, and as long as I've got a flight out, I can get into Taiwan for 90 days. No problem. No problem whatsoever. And I could go to the hospital and I can have this medical exam done for 300 Taiwanese dollars. That's $10 US. $10. That's paying for it out of pocket. But I can't do anything with it in Taiwan. I have to use it in the United States at the Los Angeles office. So I would have to fly back to the United States to use it. You cannot change a visa, a landing visa, a visa-free entry to any other kind of visa in Taiwan. They won't do it. At least that's what it says on their websites. And that's what they told Mel's as well last year when in Taiwan. It's like, nope, you can't do it. You have to leave the country. Period. You cannot do this here. So I can't go there, get it done, and then take care of the paperwork. It has to be taken care of here. I have to have the certificate here, and I have to get it done. But because it's not medically necessary, I'm probably going to have to foot the bill myself here in the United States, and I can assure you it will not be $10. Hey, it's me from the future here. I was going on a rant about the medical form, and I'll rant again, although with more information. But it's the future, and so it is now 57 days until we leave, and let's go on. So the reason I cut the last one out is because, well, there was less information because it's days later, but also because what I did was I held up this form, which this is the medical form. And the way this camera is set up, it focuses, or it's supposed to focus when you hold something right in front of it like that. It's product mode, you know? Look at these amazing AirPods. And then it's supposed to cut back. But the problem was I just stood here holding that form the whole time. And so you were looking at the backside of a blank piece of paper. So let's talk about this form. So I have to have this medically not necessary set of tests. And the tests that you have to have are, you have to have a chest x-ray for tuberculosis. Not to give you tuberculosis, but to determine if you have tuberculosis. The second thing you have to have is you have to have a stool sample to verify you don't have parasites. You've got to get a blood test to see if you've got syphilis. And you have to have either proof of vaccination for measles and rubella, not mumps, oddly enough, but measles and rubella, or a blood test to prove that you have the antibodies. Well, oh yeah, and I'm sorry, and you also have to check to see if you have leprosy. Okay, but if you're in the United States, you can drop the stool sample, pun intended, and you can also not have the test for leprosy. Apparently, we don't have enough incidents of it. So I could have said they can drop that off too. Wow, that's a double whammy. Okay. But I still have to have the chest x-ray, and I have to have the syphilis test. And the thing about the MMR, I definitely had it. My family are not kooks. We understood the value of vaccination when I was growing up. And so I had all the vaccinations that were recommended by the doctors, which would include measles, mumps, and rubella. And back in those days, even polio and whatnot. And smallpox. I think I have a smallpox scar somewhere. Anyhow, that just shows how old I am. The problem is that I definitely had them, but that's over 50 years ago, and there are no records. If there were records, there was a time when my dad's house, part of the roof got ripped off in a hailstorm, and just that room was just destroyed, and it had tons of old paperwork and stuff in it, and gone forever. I'm sure I had to prove my vaccinations in 1982 in some way, shape, or form to get into ASU. But since then, there's nothing. So I could have the blood test. I just decided it was faster to go down, and I can go to the pharmacy across the street and have an MMR vaccine on request. Not necessarily medically necessary, but it's free. The insurance covered it. So got it. I've had an MMR vaccine recently. I've got the proof that I've got an MMR vaccine. I don't need to have the doctor do a blood test for that. We'll come to that. So now we've got this form, and keep it off screen. And I'll show you one other thing about this form that hopefully you can see. And that's here at the bottom where it requires all these signatures. And they are the signature of the chief medical technologist, the signature of the chief physician, and the signature of the superintendent. Now, this is intended to be taken to a hospital, right? This is a form intended because it's also in Thai. It's in English, Chinese, and Thai. There and it has to be notarized, right? So my doctor can't just sign this. I have to have somebody notarize, take my doctor's ID and verify that my doctor is my doctor and verify that he signed this, which is a stupid level of bureaucracy and going to be a problem. So here's what has transpired since I recorded my original rant about this nonsense. I had to take Mel's to the doctor about something else. And while I was there, I talked to them at the reception desk and I said, look, can you do this? Is there any way that we can arrange this? Do you have a notary site? Is this weird? And they said, well, you can send a message to the doctor, and there is an electronic system for sending messages to the doctor. See if he's willing to do it. And if so, maybe he can order the tests in advance so that he'll have the results, so that when you go down there, he'll just be able to say, yeah, you passed the test. Whatever. Presumably, I passed the test. I have never had tuberculosis, nor have I had syphilis, nor have I ever come in contact with anybody who has had those. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to pass those tests. And of course, I got the MMR jab, so I'm cool there. So I did contact the doctor. The doctor said, sure, I'll do that. And he put in the orders for the x-rays and the blood tests, although he put in the blood tests for the MMR as well as the syphilis. I don't care. They can do that as long as they get the syphilis part. I just don't care. So I'm like freaking stressed out about this because like I say, it's technically medically unnecessary, and they may very well. The insurance may balk at this, and we may just have to pay for it out of pocket at some god awful stupid rate. So that's what we've got, and so I have a chest X-ray tomorrow at 10-ish in the morning, 10:15, something like that, and then I have a blood test draw tomorrow afternoon, and then I have to I've got to find a mobile notary. So I don't know if this is true in every country or this is a unique phenomenon of the United States, but a notary public is someone who is an official who is licensed, let's call it licensed by the state or the county or whoever does your authentication stuff. And they witnessed signatures on contracts. So if I and another person signed a contract, the two of us we would both show our ID to the notary public. The notary public would then verify that, that name is the name on the form, and then we're signing that form, and then they would frank it with a embossed. They used to be embossed. My dad used to be a notary public. So I've got to, but normally you would go where the notary is, but there's also mobile notaries, which cost a lot more, and they will meet you where you need to be met. And so the doctor knows I'm going to have to bring a notary public along to the examination. It's not going to be an examination, but to the appointment to sign this so that they can verify that the doctor signed it. And those 3 signatures, he could sign all 3 of them, although technically he's not 2 of them. And I doubt very much that he'll want to sign them, especially with a notary staring him down the thing. But according to many, many people who have done this, Taiwan doesn't care. They know that it's done by your doctor, and so your doctor signs it, and that's what you get in the U.S. So, and I asked them, I said, how do I get that done? And they sent me an email that said, oh, you can just have your doctor do it. I said, great. And then they sent me a link to the requirements, which were in Chinese. And there's a button at the top of the page that says English, but that just takes you to the English homepage because they don't have the requirements in English. And then I tried to use Google Translate on the page, but because they don't encode their page as Chinese, Google Translate was like, this page is already in English. It's not in English. And it wouldn't help anyway because their paperwork never helps. So, yeah. Right. So Notary Public will be there. The doctor, I think we're going to write NA or something on the 2 other signatures, unless the doctor is willing to sign them. And any way you go about it, I should have that. And that there isn't an opening with my doctor until June 1st, which makes that about 47 days from when we are supposed to be departing. Now, my wife has an appointment at TECO Los Angeles, I think the 8th of June. Technically, you're only supposed to go down for 1 person, but we're hoping that we can squeak me in at the same time because I'll go along and we'll just oh, here we go. Could you just do mine while I'm here? I also had to do the fingerprint thing. I think did I tell you that? I had to do fingerprint thing. And I had to send them a letter. Well, they probably didn't need the letter, but I sent them a letter anyway because I'm a polite person. A letter, and then I had to send them the application form to have my fingerprints authenticated, and those have to be done through Washington, D.C. office. Don't ask me why. And then I had to send them $22.50 in cashier's check, which cost me, first off, $22.50 plus $15 processing fee by my bank, the highway robbers. But I don't have the FBI. The FBI report is electronic. So they send you a link and they send you a PIN, and you click the link and you type in the PIN and it shows you the form. So what I have to do is to send the link to TECO in Washington and the PIN number, and then they log in and look at it. But I have to send that to them electronically. So independently of sending the fees and the application form, I also send them an email forwarding the email from the FBI, which, and I kid you not, the email from the FBI says, your FBI clearance report or your FBI rap sheet or whatever they call it, has been completed. Click here to see the results. Your PIN number is blah, 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 blah. That's the entirety of the email. That's it. No congratulations, no nothing. So I have to forward that to them. And they did it. I sent that yesterday, and they confirmed this morning that they had received the email. And they should have received the paperwork by 6 p.m. Washington, D.C. time, which is a few hours ago. I should go check that. And I paid the extra, I don't know, $7.50 to have it expedited. So hopefully I'll get that back before the 8th so that I'll have it to take to TECO in Los Angeles to show them that I've had a fingerprint cleanse. Again. World's oldest bureaucracy, not the world's best. Anyway, so tomorrow, big day, medical exams, and yeah. So that's basically it, where I am right now. So let's, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go to Apple Fitness, and I'm gonna do some meditation, because meditation is good. Stress relief. I'll see you next time. Hopefully next time I'll get to the video that this was supposed to be, which is a video about packing, which keeps getting postponed, and as in a way, I guess, does my packing.